Hello and welcome to Geek Speak with Envision IT, a podcast for business leaders and technology experts that like to stay on top of the latest security news and listen to interviews with insightful industry leaders. I'm Bill Crane, Chief Stakeholder Architect and CTO at Envision IT. Let's get started. Hello, today's podcast was inspired by a blog I read from ID Agent. It's called Passwords Aren't Protection in 2020. And they had some updated stats. Some of these we've seen previously, but it's pretty amazing. No matter how much we talk about how all these data breaches are stealing usernames and passwords, people are still reusing their passwords. And they say about 65% of people reuse passwords across multiple sites. And then they say another 13% use the same password for everything across every device they have, corporate, personal, so on. And as we know, even in this article, and we know from other studies that a majority of the data breaches that are out there, so in 2019, at least 80% of the data breaches were taking advantage of known usernames and passwords. So people somehow stealing those user IDs, passwords, and then using them to initiate a breach. So it's still a really big problem. And some of the things you can do, we've talked about, but on a personal level or a corporate level too, is certainly take advantage of a password manager. As a corporation, you could pick one and standardize on it and just set up policies and go through training and help your users learn how to use it. And if your company doesn't have that and you want to use one for personal use, just pick a well-known one that's trustworthy, and store every username and password in there. And the ones that are out there are very good. They help you create crazy random passwords that you should never have to memorize. So you use that password manager and it fills it in for you, and it's very convenient. That way you have a different password for every single site. Really ups your security. And then as a next step, go through and maybe if you have some really old ones, sites you've been using forever, go through that same process and just update all those passwords so you can be more secure. As a corporation and even personal too, make sure every account that you can has some sort of multi-factor authentication. Some of them out there, certainly use text messages as the second factor. It's not perfect security, but it's certainly better. So take advantage of it. If you're a corporation and you're using Microsoft, Office 365 and Azure AD, take a look at some of the Azure AD features that you have entitled to you. Chances are a plan that you have already gives you a lot of the advanced features. If not, they're not very expensive to add on. But one of the things that you should take advantage of is there's something called Azure AD password protection. This basically allows you to create a list of banned passwords. So it's very common at a corporation, someone uses their company name plus, maybe a birthday or their kid's name. You can actually specify what passwords or just parts of passwords that are not allowed. So you can have your company name in there, and then you can even take a look at the top 100 passwords that people are using, put those in there, and that'll really up the security around that. There's some good side effects of using that feature too. It does give the users the ability to do self-service password changes, which can really help, with your help desk calls. And nowadays that is hosted by Microsoft, and it can be set up to then write back into your Active Directory, without exposing your Active Directory. So in other words, you go to Microsoft, you change your password, and then it writes it back to the domain. So now it matches there, and you can log into your workstations and servers. So that's a great feature. Also, you can do single sign-on for as much as possible. We do this a lot with certainly Microsoft and Citrix as well. So, every SaaS app you have, ideally you can enable single sign-on. It really makes it convenient for end users because now they don't have to remember all these usernames and passwords. And it makes it really nice for you as administrator too, because you can automatically have it set up so when I create a user account in Azure AD or regular Active Directory, it enables access, role-based access into all these other systems. And then, when you leave the organization, once your account is disabled in Azure Active Directory, automatically gets disabled everywhere else. It really, really helps, make those systems secure. And then maybe another couple things that are important to take advantage of, once you're utilizing that is certainly Azure AD Join. That's become a little more important nowadays where, people just are not in the office right now to, join their computer's domain. So you can still get policies and security by doing Azure AD Join, right from your home or, without being VPN'd in or right at your network to do that. The other thing is I mentioned is conditional access. So one thing we get asked to do a lot of is certain applications and certain systems. You only want people to access those from a known
trusted device. So, and we can do that with Azure AD, conditional access. So we basically say, only domain joined computers are allowed to use VPN or another system. The other thing you do is say, I don't want people to travel outside the country and still log into certain systems. So we can do that as well. So you can specify like geolocations and either prevent access or approve access as well. So all that comes with the features of Azure AD. Some of those are premium features, but again, they're not expensive to take advantage of. So that's it for today. If you're not using Password Manager, please start doing that, and help your end users as well. Give them training and show them how to not reuse their passwords as well.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. If you have any questions or you have future topics you'd like us to cover, please connect with us via the link in the show notes. And if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time on Geek Speak with Envision IT.